Good morning, the 2nd of April, and it's a beautiful morning. A few moments ago there was a cockerel crowing, and I haven't heard a cockerel crow for a long time, but he seems to have stopped now, but you never know, he might start up again. So I've just come down to by Sully Island, and we can just see from here. I'm not sure whether I should go down to the beach, so I thought, I'm going to record from here. So again, this is the place where I saw that wonderful Shekinah sun, and I've got some beautiful photos from up by here too. So another beautiful spot, and the birds are loud, the sea is rolling, and I thought today I'd talk to you about grief. Unfortunately, grief was something I learnt at quite a young age, and it took me a long time to process and come to terms with not only the loss of my adoptive mother, but I suppose the loss of my mother and family too. Just look at that light, so beautiful. Just have a moment to absorb the beauty of nature, the beauty of our planet. We really must treasure all that we have, and something has brought all of this together. So whether you're religious or not, you cannot deny that there is something way beyond us, some forces that hold all of these things together and create growth and beauty. And look at little flower. So lovely. Sadly, people leave rubbish. There's a little bit of rubbish there. Sumi love pizza. Not so sure that I like pizza. So there's Sully Island. And so grief and healing. So there's a process that the grieving process goes through. I studied the Jonathan Bowlby method when I was doing my counselling course many years ago, and I know that there's more updated models now, and one that says it never goes away, which it doesn't, but it does transform into a place where the pain and grief, suffering, tears and loss have moved and have shifted into a place where we can remember a loved one with fondness and with the good memories and without the pain. So I think when Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted," he's talking about this healing process. So there was the cockerel. Listen out, you might hear him again. So yes, and there seems to be a shying away for a lot of people, and especially men, from crying when there's grief. But crying is the way that we're made in our body to be able to release those hurts and pains through the water, through the tears, because we are made of water as well. And one of the witnesses that bear witness, we have the spirit that bears witness, and we have the water that bears witness, and the water in our bodies. So if you're familiar with the Japanese Emoto, who studies water, he studies the water patterns, that different emotions will create different patterns in the water crystals. Fascinating work, do look him up. I'll put him in the comments. And so we have different patterns for different emotions that are in our bodies. So it's all about the way we resonate and what level of light that we can resonate and attain to, and hopefully we get to that that resonating with light and colour. Because when we haven't got light or colour, then we have darkness, and darkness tends to be the heavier, darker emotions without the light, without the joy, without the just watching that seagull go by. I don't know if I can see him on the camera. So, grief and healing. We can only so I'm reading from Cruse, Book of Life. I've self-published all of this work because I couldn't get a publisher or an agent, and I'm still editing, always editing to do, but I really wanted to get this knowledge out into the world in the best way that I can or could, and self-publishing was an option, and that's what I've done. It's still hard though, and then it's the marketing and how do you get the message spread. So I give a lot of these books away freely, and hope that God will bless this work. But the conclusion from Book of Life is that love is not a cortisol stress hormone, and that love is the endorphin love naturally released in our bodies, in us, for healing for all nations and heaven on earth, as promised. So part of the healing process is the grieving process, and that grieving can be for a loss of a relationship, or a death, or a hurt. Yeah, when we're hurt by people, we still need to grieve that pain. So betrayals. So we can only find healing in our positive spirit of love to remain in us by mourning our grievances. The obvious grief is loss through death of loved ones, but there are numerous causes of loss of our positive spirit. Emotional hurts cause grief, and grievances cause us to lose our faith and become negative and lose the positive state of love. When a person is not treated with faith in a positive outcome, then fear and insecurity will prevail. If a person's learning experience is negative, then it is hard to have positive hope and believe in the good prevailing. This is why good family values and communities are needed for the foundation of a safer and more secure, connected and loving world. Family values need to be upheld for the sake of our own humanity, being able to thrive and blossom for a positive and peaceful future for the next generations. And so, when we have a support unit, then that helps when there's difficulties in life, and we all need that emotional support. So I worked extensively with Jonathan Bowlby's model on grief, and how the grieving process is a process that needs expression and acknowledgement for processing and healing. This model has 4 distinct phases. 1. Initial shock and numbness, with a difficulty to focus and concentrate. Yearning and searching, with the potential for feelings of guilt and anger and the meaning of life. Disorientation and disorganisation, which can be accompanied by depression. Reorganisation and resolution, being able to emerge from the depression in a positive way. I think I spent most of my school life in the first stage, actually, initial shock and numbness, with a difficulty to focus and concentrate, because I couldn't focus and concentrate through school. I was dyslexic, so school was a struggle anyway, and I went away to boarding school because my mother was ill and she died the first time that I was there, and I don't think I ever focused back onto to learning from that time. I had that yearning and searching, and spent my whole life out the window wondering how God could take my mother away, and especially as I'd been adopted, so it was hard. But anyway, he taught me wonderful things, and that love and kindness that people showed me during that time and years after was what kept me here, really. And I know that God blessed me with the faith, and I always knew that Jesus Christ was there and would be coming again, and that he healed people. So I had that belief from that young age. So I've used this model extensively in my practice and as a form of counselling for a variety of ailments. I think what is particularly powerful here is the knowing that by addressing and moving through the hurtful and painful emotions, that the positive emotional cascade of endorphins will occur with the emotional acknowledgement and processing. As Jesus said on his Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed or happy are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." It is how our bodies have been made. It is how our bodies have been made by our Creator for emotional processing, for healing, and to restore the positive spirit of love. In the case of grief, death is the last enemy to conquer, because it's only the resurrection hope that can restore the spirit of love back to the whole, for a resurrection of the spirit, for joy in life again. It is a perfect thought pattern for restoration of God's spirit in us. So I'm going to read you a poem called Lost Loves. Oh. And just to say, we have some beautiful light coming through. Wow. So I'll focus on that as I read. It's far more beautiful than my face. Lost loves. She's gone. He's gone. Loved ones. Mum, dad, grandparents, children's pets, our loved ones. Passed away. Moved on to another world, another dimension. Sleeping. Lost at 6:30. They had been ill, popping pills for some time, suffering. It was expected. No, they hadn't been ill. They had been well, healthy, and a sudden accident, heart attack, aneurysm, stroke, stole them away from you. Expected or unexpected, whenever it happens, your world is turned upside down, inside out, suddenly changing forever. The stillness of death is deathly quiet, like the world has stopped turning for a little while. A peaceful, respectful, surreal, still space of bewilderment and numbness, where the birds sing a little louder than you have ever heard them sing before. The sun's light is a little darker, somewhat distant in the twilight, strangely beautiful in its serenity, but devastating in the circumstances, because time stops for a while when a loved one dies. The comprehension doesn't compute. You know, but you don't want to know, that they have gone, left. You look for them in moments of every day, thinking they will be back soon. You wake up in the morning, and in that instant, they are there, until the next moment when you realise they are gone. Loss and loneliness adorn you, an aching in your heart. Disbelief, denial and devastation merge with fears and endless thoughts. It shouldn't have happened like that. If only I shouldn't have. At least the suffering has gone, for there is no pain now for the dead. The funeral arrangements have to be made, reluctantly, busily, manically, perfectly, dutifully. How can you think what sandwich when you can hardly eat? The coffin, the church or crematorium, the hymn, the flowers or not. However, whatever, the message must be perfect. Going through the motions, the black clothes take you to where you don't want to go. Is this really happening? Time is so slow, waiting for the coffin, the inevitable about to happen. No. With disbelief, the eyes avert. What a valuable life valued, loved by their families, despite some difficulties, some estranged and lonely, almost forgotten, but not quite, as there's still love and some pain there. The resurrection hope. Jesus died for forgiveness of our sins, and he rose again from the dead. Death, the last enemy to conquer, the hardest, as death takes away life, not only of the deceased. It's so hard to get back the joy and laughter in your life, but you can. The resurrection hope is perfect for life after death in heaven or nirvana, asleep for eternity. Energy, chi, merging with the source. Who knows? But perfect for life on earth. The hope that you will see them again means they haven't really gone very far. They are just on holiday for a little longer than a week or two. They are still with you, in your heart and thoughts, in your mind, in your cells. They can never be taken away if we keep them alive in us. Their loves and values, qualities we loved, a parent's love bound by love still. Love never leaves, supporting, encouraging and constant. Angers felt and injustices forgiven, words said and words that were unsaid, disasters mourned for what they could have been, should have been, confused feelings, repressed feelings, feelings denied, feelings that couldn't be expressed, loves unfulfilled, never to be. But life and love and joy are for here on earth, now and for the rest of our days, to value what and who we have in the here and now, in the present, to have and to hold, alive and living, enjoying the gift the dead have lost. We must mourn, we must cry. It is as He has designed us to heal. You think you will cry forever and ever, and then one day there is some comfort, and after some more tears, some more comfort, some less painful memories, and then more tears and more memories, until they become happy, fond memories with no pain or tears, but a part of you. It takes time. It is a process for completeness and a healing for you, for us. Jesus says, happy and blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Life is the gift for the living to enjoy each and every day. Honour and value the miracle of life now and here, today. Because today is our present, and our present is a present only if and when we are present, and it should be pleasant. Life is God's gift, the presence of His love made whole and one in us. Through Jesus Christ, the Anointed One. Amen. God bless. And so, my next poem I'm going to read you is called Sad Tears, for sometimes when it is hard to cry. I didn't cry for my mum for many years, and we need to cry. The mouth curved downward, like a tilted crescent moon, quivering. Eyes searching for a safe place to anchor, trying not to let loose the damned flood waters bulging. The hurts, the pain, wanting to explode, needing to explode via the tiny duct. Who could imagine the deluge, so much flood water flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing for healing? As Jesus says, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And in Revelation, God says He will wipe away every tear, and suffering will be no more. Pain will be no more. There is that promise that pain will be removed and mourning will be removed, because when we mourn our losses and pains, then the grieving process is complete and we are blessed. We're restored with that spirit for life and love through Jesus Christ. That whole spirit of love anointed, a stress hormone and cortisol transferred back to love, back from our sympathetic nervous response to our parasympathetic nervous system, where we have whole brain, whole reason and whole function, for the wholeness, the holiness, for completeness and fulfillment in us, for our joy, for our pleasure, for the whole spirit of love to come. Jesus Christ is returning quickly. The whole world needs to grieve, I think. You know, often people go to the doctors after grief and they're diagnosed with depression and put on antidepressants, but that isn't working to heal and process the hurts and pains and loves that have been lost. We need to do that consciously, trusting with faith that God will comfort us. And this He does, I personally know. God bless, take care, and at this coronavirus time, let's have faith that a cleaner, more kind world will emerge in accord with God's promise for heaven on earth. God bless. Bye. Oh wow, doggies, perfect.